It happened here, in the Valley of Elah, 3,000 years ago. Two armies positioned one against the other, total silence. You could cut the air with a knife. The Israeli soldiers vigilantly watch the Philistine camp beyond the valley and tighten their hold on their swords. The brutal battle is about to begin. Suddenly, an earth-shattering roar breaks the silence. A mountain of a man steps into the no man's land between the two armies. The sight of him is formidable. The size of him is a nightmare. He is covered from head to toe in the finest armor and weapons. There is no need for introductions. Everyone knows this is Goliath from Gath, the most barbaric warrior in the Philistine army, a professional killing machine. In his thunderous voice, he curses the Israeli soldiers and challenges them to a duel to the death. Winner takes all. The Israeli soldiers freeze in fear. No one dares to move. Suddenly, a rustle is heard in the Israeli camp. A young man walks straight into the center of the ring, a handsome red-headed boy. He strides confidently into the ring, without armor or sword, only a shepherd's staff and a small sack in his hand. His name is David. Wait, something here doesn't make sense. No sword or shield? No armor? That sounds like a suicide mission. What was David thinking? That he could really defeat Goliath? When a person is willing to sacrifice his life for his nation and the honor of his God, that is true courage. Just think about it. An entire army trembles in fear, including the one and only King Saul himself. The only one who dares to stand against him in this act is a young, unknown boy from Bethlehem in Judah, who has never held a sword in his life. And that takes courage. Listen to what he says to Goliath. "You come to me with a sword, a spear, and a lance. And I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have taunted." David was brave, but David was not stupid. Oh no, sir. David had a plan, it seems. He knew that Goliath had an extremely large body and also had an extremely large ego. When things are blown out of proportion, they can be popped with a pin. David decided to enter the battlefield resembling anything but a soldier. In his hand, a measly shepherd's staff, and he knew that Goliath would get mad, even be thrown off balance. David was right. It worked. "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the sky and the beasts of the field." Goliath is so busy cursing he becomes distracted and doesn't notice as David pulls out his slingshot, a real weapon that he used often as a shepherd. Taking gigantic steps, Goliath walks towards David, self-confident and cocky as ever. He is certain that any minute now the boy will run for his life. But then, in a split second, everything changes. David whirls the slingshot at an enormous speed and lets the lethal pebble fly. He hits Goliath right in his weak spot, his exposed forehead. Slowly, the mountain of a man keels over and collapses. The sound of the crash is deafening. The momentary silence is broken with a mighty roar of victory that rises from the Israeli camp. Now it is much easier to understand why David refused to wear the heavy armor that King Saul offered him. You cannot defeat enemies like Goliath by wearing heavy suits of armor. Speed, skill, surprise, ingenuity, those are the tools that you use to defeat an enemy who is big and strong, but cumbersome. There's no doubt about it. Being lightweight, fast, and clever is an excellent strategy for a warrior. Then and today. You can be a daring warrior and you can be very clever, yes, but then, if your opponent in battle is Goliath the Philistine, only God can save you. Goliath was not a dumb, clumsy oaf. Goliath was a skilled warrior. He knew all of the tricks, and in any other situation, he could have beat David easily. If you would have asked David, he might have said to you that at that moment, he didn't think about courage or about strategy. His faith gave him the strength to defeat Goliath. "This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down and remove your head from you. And I will give the dead body of the army of the Philistines this day to the birds of the sky and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel." Every child knows who won the battle between David and Goliath. But what triumphed there? Courage? Strategy? Faith? David and Goliath's story has become the symbol of the young state of Israel and part of the ethos of the IDF and the Israeli spirit. This story keeps on reminding us that it is not our size or our strength that leads us to victory. Our spirit triumphs. Just ask David.